Oh, man. Nature. Peace. That's all I hear. It's birds chirping. No cars beeping their horns. I'm far removed from the concrete jungle. And it's beautiful out here. Peace is what we all need. Gotta find your way out of that concrete jungle, whether it's Atlanta, Charlotte, New York City, Houston, Dallas, Chicago, and the list goes on. Gotta find your peace. Real talk. This is beautiful, man. Beautiful. Gotta be close to 90 degrees out here. The wind is blowing. The clouds are so close to me, it's like as if I could touch them with my hands. This is what we all need to be looking at. Peace. Let's get to this video.
Yo, what's going on? What's happening? I want to say this. I want to be as truthful as possible. I'm not going to sugarcoat in this video at all. I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm going to tell you the raw and uncut truth. So, some of you all know that I have moved out of the country. And even though that there are several reasons why I moved out, one of the main reasons why I moved out of the country is because I was priced out of America. Yeah, I said that I could no longer live somewhere I was born and raised at. That's real talk. Like if I would have stayed in America, man, I wouldn't have been able to save any money. I wouldn't be able to live the lifestyle that I'm accustomed to. Like before I left, all I saw myself doing was paying bills. And as inflation grew, as the price of food and everything else rose or rised, I was like, man, if I stay in this situation, I'm going to be homeless. I'm not going to have anywhere to stay. I'm going to have to make certain sacrifices. Either it was going to be that I pay the rent and the lights get cut off, or I pay the rent and the lights are on but the water get cut off, or I pay the rent, I pay all the bills but we don't eat something. And maybe what I'm saying, my financial difficulties might have not occurred in 2026. Maybe I might have made it to past 2025 into 2026, but sooner than later, it was going to catch up with me. Inflation, that is. Prices of food going up. Everything, the essential things that we need in life, food, shelter, and clothing. You know what I'm saying? My rent went up at least $100 to $200 each year. When I first moved into the house that I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, I was paying $1,400 and change, and my rent went all the way up to $2,000. When I left, it was at $1,935, and that's real talk, man. I just was like, you know what, man? I don't see a good ending, especially when it boils down to my family. I have children. I have people. I have little ones that depend on me. So I'm not trying to throw shade to those that are, but I'm not a deadbeat dad. I take care of the children that I brought into this world. So there was no way I could let my family down. I had to make some real stern, hard decisions in a small amount of time before I left. That's real talk. I had to sit down with my family members and say, what's the best option in order for us to be able to live that, to live the lifestyle that we're normal or accustomed to. See, I know what some of you all are gonna say. Well, Langston, you could have stayed in America. All you had to do was just cut back on things. I did that. I did that. Summer of 2024 was the first summer in years that I didn't take my children to the beach, that I didn't take my children to the zoo, that we didn't go on family vacations. 2024 was the year where I cut back on a lot of things. A lot of things. Our version of junk food. You know what I mean? A lot of things. I'm a very frugal person. I'm older now. Now I know that my responsibilities count more than being lit. What I mean by that, going out to the clubs and getting dressed up and wearing the latest sneakers and clothes and all the rest of that stuff. That my responsibilities matter more than just what's trending or what's popular. I've outgrown that. So you won't catch me, in other words, what I'm saying, you won't catch me out in the streets wearing Jordan sneakers, Gucci belts, Louis Vuitton pants, and all the rest of that. That's not what I'm all about. That's real talk. If anything, I'll invest in my body. That's what I'll invest. That's what I'll invest in. I'll make sure that I get the right fruits and vegetables and I'm working out and all the rest of that stuff. But outside of that, as far as dealing with clothes and having the latest clothes and the latest cars and all the rest of that stuff don't matter to me. So you talking on deaf ears because of the fact that I've always been that type of person to budget. I've always been that frugal person. I've always been that person where my responsibilities matter first. I'm telling you, there was no way possible I could have stayed in America. And even though the country that I'm living in has its fair share of problems, I can tell you this straight up. I'm able to save money. I'm able to, just off of what I'm making alone, sustain. Real talk. I'm able to get the foods, grains, and stuff like that they don't have available here. I'm able to send it from America to here. Now, I ain't gonna lie. Sales taxes are killing me, y'all. To get that stuff in here, into this country. But yeah, man, I mean, I couldn't see myself doing it. Let me tell you something. There were several signs that made me say, you know what, man, I need to make some real important decisions. I mean, let's just be real. I'm just gonna, you know what I'm saying? This is for those that's going through what I was going through when I was living in America. This is to inspire and motivate you so you won't get caught up. But before moving out of the country, I thought about it. I thought about moving in the country, like moving out of the city limits of Charlotte into the country. But then, I would venture out and look at the houses that's for rent and most people like, man, why you still rent? You should be buying. Man, you're looking at the housing market, man, it's booming in the Mecklenburg County area. So my brother, Pretty Ricky, he makes way more than I did. And he moved down to South Carolina. So I'm like, well, let me check out South Carolina, whatever. And South Carolina is just not my steez, man. It's just not, for obvious reasons. And I ain't trying to get on Pretty Ricky, but Pretty Ricky is a little bit, he a little light-skinned, you know what I'm saying? He got certain privileges that I don't. And that ain't a shot, you know what I'm saying? But I just South Carolina just didn't the energy, you know what I'm saying? I've been in Rock Hill, Fort Mill, and they ain't too right, you know what I'm saying? And that's like right on the border of the South Carolina, North Carolina state line. And Pretty Ricky just went straight into the heart. Like he's like somewhat in the middle, you know what I mean? I'm like, nah, that's all right. And then, I started looking at other places and I'm like, man, you know what? This is crazy. Like things everywhere prices are going up. Everywhere. And sooner than later, the out in the country is going to be expensive. So I started researching living outside of the United States in other countries, foreign countries. And I'm like, well, shit, man, I could get for every dollar, for every US dollar, I can get $4 in their currency. And I'm like, man, why not try that? You know what I'm saying? And then I started looking at, okay, well, do they have fruits and vegetables? And how much does that cost? And this and that and so forth. And I started crunching numbers and I was like, you know what? This would be the best situation. This would be the best decision. Is to move out of the country. And take your heed, man. This ain't for everyone. It's not for everyone. Especially if you're used to convenience. Straight up. And accessibility. But I can tell you, if you can deal with certain things, if having a Domino's pizza within having fast food restaurants like Domino's Pizza, Pizza Hut, McDonald's, Bojangles, and all of that, or going to the movies and strip malls and regular malls and outlets and stuff like that ain't your thing, and you can sacrifice that stuff, then I tell you to make this move. Straight up. If you live a real meager life. I ain't say meager like if it's poor or something like that, but I'm just saying like you cook at home, you do a lot of cooking at home. You very rarely buy clothes. You buy clothes, but you buy them when you need them. You don't just go out to Target and just what do they call it? Impulsive shopping. I think that's what they call it. If you're not that type of person that just on the weekends, you got to spend money. On the weekends, you got to go out. On the weekends, you got to go out to the restaurants. You got to go out to the clubs and stuff like that. If you're not that type of person, man, I think this fits you just right. Because I'm looking at prior to me leaving the country and now that I'm out of the country, I'm looking at the state that the average American is in. And it's crazy, man. I'm listening to the horror stories as well as on social media, where there's Caucasian people, and hardly ever do you hear Caucasian people complain. You know that there's a problem when Caucasian people complain. You know that there's a problem when the economy is affecting their pockets. But these Caucasian people talking about the Caucasian race is talking about yo, listen, man, I had to take out a loan just to buy groceries. That's crazy to me. People are doing installments far as dealing with what's that thing? Not Uber Eats. Oh man, what's the name of that shit? It's the other joint. It'll come to mind. People are making payments on food deliveries. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. DoorDash, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? This is ridiculous, man. The country, in my opinion, is headed to an unknown territory, an area where we as Americans have never experienced it. I mean, since I've been alive. I wouldn't know what to call this. I don't know if you would call it a recession, a depression, or if not both. It's shit. Shit is about to get real. And I just knew in my mind before the house burns down, I'm going to get out of it. I'm not going to be one of the motherfuckers out there trying to water the house down so that the fire won't spread. Because the fire is spreading. And trying to throw some water on it as of now is just going to make the fire worse. That's real talk, man. You know, and it's like, I know people will chastise me on the decision that I made. I know some of my family members disagree and friends disagree, you know, and people will say, well, you know, you just was weak, or you didn't make no money and you were broke. That's the reason why you don't live in America or whatever, and this and that and so forth. It's cool. I don't have no problem with that. I did what was in the best interest for my family. Straight up. And I have no regrets. I don't. Like I said before, the country that I'm living in, it has its fair share of problems. But I know that I can be able to afford here. I can afford to live here. My fault. I can afford to live here for now. You know what I'm saying? Because I know the next thing is, well, you act like, you know, this is not a global problem, like prices of food and just the cost of living overall is not affecting, it's not globally. Yeah, I know that. But for now, I'm good. Now the question is, are you? Because what I tend to realize is that most people are not concerned about others. Most people just want to talk shit. And that's it. They don't want to come up with no solutions. They just want to chastise and bash what another person is doing, because they don't have the courage or the strength to do what I'm doing. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. And it's just that plain and simple. You know, it's crazy how this is crazy. It's crazy how corporations, companies and corporations will relocate. They'll move their business out of the country, right? Because that's more cost efficient. They'll move their business to, like, say for example, their factory or whatever, say for example, to China. And instead of paying Americans $10, $12, $15, $20 an hour, they're like, well, shit, is more cost efficient for me to go over to China, and I can only pay, you know, I don't have to pay them as much as I would pay the Americans. All I would have to pay them is $2 to $5 to $10. That's a good business move. But someone such as myself, I make it public and let people know, well, yo, this is the, you know, I'm moving because it's more cost efficient for my family and this and that and so forth. You bash me. Companies and corporations could do it. Rich and wealthy people could do it. You know how many people have left and relocated, moved to Puerto Rico? And they're saying that they're living in Puerto Rico, but in reality, they're actually living in America. But they're able to get tax cuts and all the rest of that shit living in Puerto Rico. Rich people do it all the time. Even poor Caucasian people do it. You know how many people that I've seen, beach bums, that I saw when I was on living on the beach, living off the beach, where motherfuckers got campsites where you could rent out a tent for $400 a month, or they living in Winnebagos and shit like that. You see, it's okay for them to do it, but it's not okay for me to do it, because see, I'm a nigga. And I just don't, us niggas don't supposed to just pick up and leave out of the country. No, we supposed to just stay where we're at and live with the bullshit. Nah, not me. Either live with the bullshit or live through it. Like, I ain't one of those religious people. How many times I'm gonna say this? How many times I'm gonna say this? Because I'm tired of the comments in the comment section. Y'all giving me biblical scriptures and shit, talking about something. You need to leave it in the hands of God and and this and that and so forth. Nah, that's okay. That's okay. I have actually saw a scene with leaving my soul in the hands of God. Actually, what he can do with my soul. How he keeps my soul. I've seen that through other people's souls. Other people that have left their souls in his hands and have died. Nah, I don't trust him. I trust myself. And the true Trinity is not the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Not in my eyes. It's me, myself, and I. That plain and simple. And if you don't like it, I mean, you can always unsubscribe. Straight up. But you know, that's the problem with black people. We too religious. And if we not too religious, we too fucking too much into our politics. Our politicians. We truly think that, you know what, the Democrats gonna get us out of this situation, or the Republicans gonna get us out of this situation. I've heard so many people say, well, you see what happened? I told you to vote for Kamala Harris, as if she was gonna be any better. Yeah, true indeed, she might not have done all of the shit that Donald Trump is doing, but she would have did some other shit that we would have disagreed with. Straight up. And y'all act like these people are not in bed with one another. They laugh at us. These wealthy people, these politicians, they laugh at us. They think we're a joke. And they're taking advantage of us. Well, not me anymore. Not me. Straight up. Before I see my family, before I take my family through some shit, man, I'll be motherfucking island hopping, country to country, and continent to continent. I don't give a fuck. I'm just not gonna do. I'm not gonna put myself in a position where I know that shit is fucked up, and I gotta sit down and explain to my family why we staying here. Why at one point in time we were eating fucking vegetables and fruits and stuff like that, and now we gotta eat pig feet, chitlins, hog mash, fat back, and all the rest of that shit. Because daddy ain't got no fucking money. The rent went from $2,000 to $2,100 to $2,200, $2,300. The price of vegetables are motherfucking extremely high, so we can't afford shit. I want to tell my children that. Especially when my children are accustomed to a lifestyle that they've been. Man, I swear, man, I'm so thankful that they've been accustomed to a lifestyle that they've been living for years. Now they wake up and they used to their watermelon and pineapple. And if it ain't watermelon and pineapple, it's oranges and apples. And I've been doing that for years. After they eat their oatmeal or pancakes or their kamut puffs or whatever have you, right after that, they eat their fruit. And then for lunch, they may have some steamed vegetables. You know what I'm saying? I cook for them. Steamed vegetables or something. And then for dinner, they get some, something special or whatever. They're accustomed to that. They're used to that. They're used to, soaps, that don't have any type of chemicals in them. Toothpaste that don't have chemicals in them. They're used to that shit. How do I supposed to explain to them that, you know what, we had to stay in the States because, I had to work through it. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. This is where we were born and raised at, and things are going to get better. But while things are getting better, they're going to get worse first. And BTW, we're going to have to probably put some meat inside of our diet and a couple other things we're going to have to pull back on and not eat and this and that. They ain't trying to hear that shit. And neither am I, because you are what you eat. You are what you eat. And this is the reason why the average American is overweight, if not morbid, obese. Because people don't give a fuck about what they put in their stomachs. And that's real shit. I chose life, man. I chose life. And people that are living a deaf culture, they look at me and say that, man, you a fool. Stay here with us and suffer. Die a slow death. What you gonna do over there in that country? Ain't shit to do. I've heard it in the comment section of my videos. This is what they say. Where Langston at, it look like it's boring. I know his kids are boring. You're out of your fucking mind. My kids are having the fucking time of their life. And I'm learning a lot about myself. Being in seclusion. That's the problem with people. That's the reason why we can't get ahead as a race of people, black people that is, and then overall, people all over the world. Because we run away from ourselves. And our biggest fear is to look at that man or that woman in the mirror and correct what we see, the flaws that we see in ourselves. Nah, we don't want to do that. Instead, we look for things to preoccupy our minds and take our minds off of ourselves. And that's real shit. And those things that we have to take ourselves out of our minds or off of ourselves are the movies, bars, women, drugs, food, church, politics. I said church, let me go overall and say religion. I learned so much being here and just being one with self and nature. And one of the things that I learned is I ain't gotta have a lot of shit in order to be happy, baby. And neither do you. Everybody keep on asking me how the fuck I get here. Man, why don't you make a video on how you got here and this and that and so forth. Man, let me tell you something. If you ain't willing to sacrifice, motherfucker, there's no use in me telling you anything. You're gonna have to sacrifice some things. And that's the problem with us as a people. We don't make sacrifices. When it comes to boils down to tough decisions, we're not willing to move. You got to give up something in order to receive what the fuck you want. And no, being out here is not perfect. I'm going to say this shit for the 5,000th time. But what are you willing to give up in order to get a peace of mind? Isn't a peace of mind priceless to you, or it's not? One of the two. Is it or isn't it? I know one thing. I'm able to clear my mind. I'm able to think about things that matter to me the most, and not what the fuck is going on in pop culture. I don't give a fuck about who got a brand new car. When I see this shit on YouTube, you know, let's say for example, like the Floyd Mayweather situation where I guess he got scammed out of millions of dollars. That shit don't even interest me anymore. And just any other shit, you know, the whole thing with the black kid and, you know, unaliving the Caucasian kid, and people got their views, black people got their views on it, and white people got their views on it. This is racism sells. Don't you understand that? Don't you understand that it sells and it divides and conquers? That's what it does. It has us warring against one another. And you got to choose which side. Either you believe what the black people saying, you with the black kid, or you with the unalive Caucasian. That shit don't interest me anymore. I ain't gonna talk about that shit. I'm not gonna even give my opinion on the situation. I'm not. That's what's so funny about it, man. You know what's so funny, man? This is crazy to me, man. I started to realize that life, people are looking for complicated solutions to a complicated problem. No. If you want to say that the problem is complicated, all right, cool, be my guest, but the solution is simple. The solution is simple. Take yourself out of the fucking problem. Then there won't be one. A lot of stuff ain't your fucking problem. The U.S. economy is not my fucking problem. Whether the United States of America, spelled with 3 Ks, goes down, implodes or explodes, ain't my fucking problem. The only, and it's not my, and I'm not saying my family is my problem, but I'm saying the only responsibilities that I have, or you may say problem, and like I said before, my family's not my problem, but if you want to use it like that, the only problems that I have is my family. But I'm not going to say problem, but you know what I'm saying. The only responsibilities that I have, the only people or persons that I'm responsible for is my family. I'm not fighting that so-called good old fight anymore. I don't care about that black power shit. You know how long people been speaking that black power, conscious community, and all the rest of that shit? Dr. Umar still trying to open up a motherfucking school while he on line with Drewski. Talking about some, yeah, you know, I was online with Drewski. I got 10 million. It's 10 million views on that video. And with it, nigga, either you are a doctor or an entertainer. Either you here to educate the kids or entertain them. And some people will say, well, he's both. Well, guess what? Do it in your house. Do it at that school that you saying you opening up. It's not my problem, man. What's going on in America and what's going on around the world ain't my fucking problem, man. It's just not. And people will say, man, you ran away and you ain't pro-black. And man, miss me with that shit. I put in my time. And I'm here to tell you, when I was 20, that's when I started my journey. Knowledge of self. When I was in my early 20s, I think about 21. Nah, I take that back. When I was 20, that's real talk. At an HBCU college called St. Augustine's in Raleigh, North Carolina is when I began my journey. And I've been fighting for black people ever since. And let me tell you this is crazy for me to say this, but it's the truth. Black people ain't changed since I first started gaining knowledge of myself all the way up to now. If anything, they've gotten worse. So I made a move, a very powerful move, to protect my family. And I'm not ashamed or afraid or embarrassed to say that I could no longer live in America. That not only was I priced out of Charlotte, North Carolina, the city and the state, I was priced out of the whole country. And hey, real talk, it is what it is. I don't care. Why? Because I'm living a far more better life where I'm at. Other than that, exactly what the pirate said. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I hear. A bunch of little green parrots arguing and shit. Other than that, I'm out. Peace.
Even when it's raining, it's beautiful out here. Even when it's raining, it's beautiful out here. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Even when it's raining out here, it's still beautiful. Yeah. Woo. And after the storm, there's peace. Beautiful, man. Full moon. Beautiful. Quite beautiful.